Tolkien. Tolkien is always so scary, so understandably so. Although, 𝗏𝗍, there are a few other big threats here. That 𝗬𝗏, that Minnow, that 𝗬𝗏 are all very scary for the majority of 𝗏𝗍's team.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. And hey, the Minotaur did quite well in the previous series, especially when you consider the Grandpa, right? So trying to not let that Grandpa come through so easily. Picking up the Minotaur just in case, because 𝗏𝗍's Grandpa, we saw earlier, does have the sweatband. So a potential carry unit is what he has in mind. But you know what? Since it did have that Minotaur staring him off, might as well go for the 𝗂𝗶𝗆 here.
Yeah, that does kind of negate Minotaur a little bit. It's still good damage on either spot for Minotaur, but this isn't the preferred lead for the ox. What is Minotaur?
I think he's a bull. If you know the people, the animals that have that little ring, they're like the manadors or the Spanish bulls. I'm feeling. So I think he's just like an electric mental bull. But either way. Hey, 𝗬𝗶𝗶, appreciate that so very much. But as you mentioned, Minotaur does have some decent damage on both of these Temtems, but way better are these Tems at eating that damage than that Grandpa. So good job, Agglom, saying, you know what? I'm going to scare 𝗏𝗍 from picking up this Grandpa so that I can go ahead and bop the Grandpa. So good little mind games right there. But hey, 𝗏𝗍's team looking well-rounded, picking up that 𝗏𝗀𝗃. And we've seen mental Temtems go off. If you guys remember the finals, Dirk and his 𝗬𝗏𝗃 with that incredible Gamma Burst, it was how he found so much success against the likes of 𝗏𝗏𝗃 Rotor. Gamma Burst was so impactful that he didn't even let the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 go off. So potentially the 𝗏𝗀𝗃s could be doing something similar to these Rotors.
Yeah, I don't think that 𝗏𝗃𝗃s has the same special attack as 𝗬𝗏𝗃, right? But I guess I don't know for sure. It's been a very long time since I've looked at 𝗏𝗃𝗃s. It does definitely still get Gamma Burst, so that in itself is pretty terrifying for a lot of the neutrals like 𝗬𝗏. Everybody stays in though. Sparkling Bullet with the synergy on 𝗬𝗬𝗟, get the burn, and Plague on Minnow instead of 𝗬𝗏, trapping it in, potentially wanting to take it down. I'm not sure. Get rid of it before it can fight the 𝗏𝗃𝗃s.
And you know, interesting enough, it doesn't have the handcuffs on the 𝗬𝗬𝗟, so it doesn't trap it in. It looks like it's the fake beard, of course, as we saw it proc. So as you mentioned, nice little tink damage on the Minotaur. Can't survive 2 more of those attacks. But absolutely the same can be said about 𝗬𝗬𝗟. We saw Minotaur was indeed the fastest Temtem on the board. So one more Sparkling Bullet / Hasty Lunge. That is all the 𝗬𝗬𝗟 can take. So let's take a look at the back line. What can potentially be coming in here? The only thing I'm seeing is perhaps the 𝗂𝗏𝗃s, but with the Rotor just having to bear the force of this Hasty Lunge. So, oh, 𝗬𝗬𝗟 going down as early as round 2. Impressive.
I just took a look at Tem Team, and I got to eat my own words real quick.
Does it have more?
Because 𝗬𝗏𝗟's got 75 special attack, and that was enough with Gamma Burst to kill a 𝗬𝗏 from 70%.
Yeah.
𝗏𝗃𝗃s has 87 special attack.
There we go. We could totally see why 𝗏𝗍 is rocking with the 𝗏𝗃𝗃s here today. So hey, Agglom has to be very careful. And you know, that kind of poses a question, Rawrzyyy. If he knew the 𝗏𝗃𝗃s could do something spectacular like 60-70% damage, why didn't he at least try to plague it once? Or I guess because of the reactive vial, right? I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to trigger reactive vial if you're planning on Gamma Bursting the following turn. Although Minotaur leaving this turn is a little bit surprising, as well, I guess the beta burst on it if it is targeting that spot. Yeah, so after the strangle would have been a kill. Drill Impact onto the Tataru on 𝗬𝗏𝗃 does decent enough damage, as Tardy Rush does trigger. It means Agorian is probably going to outspeed the Gamma Burst if he wants to stay, but I don't know. Is this a 0 to or a 100 to 0 Gamma Burst? Are we about to see an Oko on a ruler?
Ever. Yeah, I don't even know. Someone bring out the Temp Team cows, because I don't ever think. I think that's an MBD never before done. But you know, Rawrzyyy, I think 100 is a bit too much to ask for. However, if you add in a little 𝗬𝗺 damage, I think it could be possible. But as you mentioned, with that Tardy Rush going to be applied first, get that nutrition bar. But hey, you don't need damage if you put these Temps to sleep. It's not going to be the Rotor because of its stamina issues there. Instead, going for the 𝗬𝗵𝗶, just trying to get into the Gamma Burst range. 𝗬𝗧𝗺 playing this fantastically so far. This is very similar what Dirk was doing last week in our finals. You get the Rotor into this HP pool, and now you let the 𝗂𝗵𝗶 Gamma Burst straight into the face. So Agglom has to know it's coming, but he stays in, Rawrzyyy. Wait a second, what? Oh, it doesn't kill.
This ruler is built different. Reactive triggers, he survives a turbo choreography, so next time it's gonna go even faster. And Ruler, if he does choose to attack, he would just OX himself to death, but because he pressed dreaded alarm, finishes off what the Gamma Burst could not. Ruler, you survived, my friend, but you have fallen.
Yeah, that is exactly why Dreaded Alarm is so impactful, but oh, the value refreshing Diabolo. You know, Agglom has gotten full value every single time we've seen him use it, or not use it, but you know, have that 𝗬𝗵𝗶 on the board. And Minotaur is such a good Temtem, staring down the likes of 𝗬𝗺 with things like Black Hole, staring down the 𝗏𝗀𝗃 with things like a potential Piezo Electric Blow. I think maybe one more turn for the Piezo to be online, but it should be very close to it.
You know, Agglom was probably feeling a little bit sad when Ruler survived.
Wait, why would you say?
Because it's definitely better to get this refreshing Diabolo on the Minotaur.
True.
If it had targeted Ruler instead, that would have been a little bit rough.
That makes so much sense. And oh, I misspoke. Piezo was indeed online, so 𝗬𝗧𝗺 realizing that goes ahead and retreats the Pocus for the time being. 𝗬𝗚 is eating that beautifully, activating the bait. Let's see how much this Major Slash will be doing on the 𝗬𝗵𝗶. 77 down to 46, so clean 30% damage. And oh, the Electrified Laundry doing a good amount of damage on this 𝗬𝗚 there.
I am a little bit surprised that that wasn't a Black Hole 𝗬𝗺 kind of turn. Just guarantee that kill.
Yeah, you know, I think Agglom just wanted to click green circles that turn just in case the mind games were in effect. Maybe he was saying, you know what, 𝗬𝗺 thinks he's gonna, you know, 𝗬𝗺 thinks I'm not gonna attack the Pocus because he's gonna swap it out. So let me just go ahead and attack it. So at the highest level, you would think, oh, isn't it so obvious that the 𝗬𝗚 is coming in? But no, these mind games are so real at the highest level. But of course, I think the Crystal Bite was pretty straightforward there. So trying to reject that Crystal Bite with things like the 𝗏𝗏𝗵. But here we go, folks. Held Anger into the 𝗬𝗵𝗶, doing about half the remaining HP.
And doubling in means 𝗬𝗵𝗶 goes down to the Crystal Bite. 𝗏𝗏𝗵 swapping in, not really doing anything there, although not taking any damage means he can potentially survive a hook kick and get the Dust Vortex off on 𝗬𝗚, but that might be asking a little bit too much considering 𝗬𝗺's still here and is +2 speed.
Exactly right. And of course, 𝗬𝗶𝗶 making his first appearance in game number 1, so things like Tornado, 3 priority Tornado not online to try to deal with the 𝗬𝗺. So hey, it's gonna be a little bit tough. I know some people do take the 𝗏𝗏𝗵 to survive a hook kick by a bit, so if you can't deal with the 𝗬𝗺 this turn, it should be a 1-2 punch on the 𝗏𝗏𝗵. But let's see, I'm almost thinking with that 𝗬𝗶𝗵 Plethoric, can something like a Plague into a Water Cannon might just get rid of 𝗬𝗺, right? We'll see.
Potentially, yeah, with the 𝗬𝗚 swapping out. This is the time, right? Water Cannon onto 𝗬𝗺 from 42 to 11, but it does outspeed any of 𝗏𝗏𝗵's shenanigans. Major Slash onto the Whiplump, knocking itself out due to the overexertion, but knocking Whiplump down 65%. The DV onto Pocus is a nice start, but it's definitely not going to be enough considering the big boy cannon is back.
Yeah, back indeed, and at +2 speed, so nice little 50% increase, making sure it should be going off first no matter what. But interesting enough, Rawrzyyy, I was certain that the 𝗬𝗪𝗓 was potentially going to be coming out here just because hook kick was online. But of course, 𝗬𝗪 much better player than I, so instead, Alexa bring in the 𝗬𝗪𝗓, of course. I'm wondering because he's saying, you know what? I dare the 𝗬𝗵𝗶 to stay in and go for the tornado just so maybe the 𝗶𝗃𝗃 can deal with it. But I'm not too sure. We're going to have to see.
Yeah, if 𝗶𝗃𝗃 does target down the 𝗬𝗵𝗶 spot, a single beta burst is probably going to be enough to kill. Although 𝗬𝗵𝗶 has the priority of tornado, 𝗬𝗪𝗓 staying in is a little bit risky. 73 down to 1.5. Hand fan not enough on its own. Gamma burst, click the big boy button, and 𝗬𝗵𝗶 falls.
That is right. So, hey, Gamma Burst on the 𝗬𝗵𝗶 means no Gamma Burst on that road. Oh, wait, never mind. The rotor's in the... Of course, the rotor has already fallen. What am I talking about? There we go. Nice little Toxic Ink trying to bring that 𝗂𝗶𝗴 a bit more down. But, hey, folks, Agglom finding himself with the final 2 Temtems remaining. But there are quite the impactful ones, I will say. 𝗂𝗶𝗴 has the potential coverage. Does Vortex back online for that 𝗬𝗪𝗓 in the back. And 𝗏𝗏𝗄r deals with the 𝗶𝗃𝗃 quite handily. And hey, 𝗬𝗪𝗓 is already on death's door, right? So a nice little simple plague should take it all the way down. But you know, I think the biggest limiting factor for the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 is gonna have to be the stamina, right? If you plague the 𝗬𝗪𝗓, you're gonna have to go crazily overexerted for the 𝗬𝗪𝗓's DV, but perhaps it's worth it. We'll see.
Everybody stays in place, not wanting to trigger another rusher. That means Hasty Lunge doesn't go first. 𝗶𝗃𝗃 gets the initial beta burst onto 𝗂𝗶𝗴 down to 41, and 𝗂𝗶𝗴 goes for the bush. That's a nice little bit of heal, but I don't know. The strangle onto 𝗏𝗏𝗄r isn't gonna have too much of an impact. I guess it means now 𝗂𝗶𝗴 is the free target for the hook kick, and 𝗏𝗏𝗄r can't do anything to fight back. There's no black holes that can be clicked. And 𝗬𝗪𝗓 getting refreshing 𝗬𝗶𝗶𝗺 means it is over.
Disgusting. Well calculated for 𝗬𝗪𝗓. Leave it to 5-head 𝗬𝗪𝗓 to have it perfectly planned out. DV is no fast enough to deal with that 𝗬𝗪𝗓, so big ol' hook kick to the face, and of course sharp stab, crystal bite online. 𝗏𝗏𝗄r not loving the sound of that, so it should be a confirmed GG. 𝗬𝗪𝗓 getting game number 1 of our semifinals here today. Well played. That was an impressive matchup, I will say.
Yeah, that was really well played on both sides. Refreshing 𝗬𝗶𝗺 hitting the perfect targets both times. I wonder if Agglom is going to be a little bit more concerned with the 𝗶𝗃𝗃 instead of the grandpa this time. Rulder takes the first ban, which I believe is the same as last time.
I think so.
And Tolkien, yeah, Tolkien was the ban that Agglom had to eat before as well, so far all the same.
Yeah, but of course, Agglom now having the counter pick, but oh, nice 2 Temtems. Rotor's not having a grand time. Luckily, an item like Reactive Bio exists, so Rotor able to hit, and hey, it's looking like we have a bit of deja vu. The same lineup for Agglom. I mean, it did so much, and of course, 𝗏𝗏𝗄r, we saw it did about 50% or so on the 𝗬𝗪𝗓 period. So hey, pick your pick there. Either you want to throw it into the 𝗶𝗃𝗃, throw it into the 𝗬𝗪𝗓. It is all going to be nice, good old damage. So hey, that 𝗏𝗏𝗄r counter pick is exactly why blue side has a little bit of a momentum lead in those earlier turns, because Mr. Rishi most likely having to swap one of those Tems. I'm leaning towards perhaps the 𝗶𝗃𝗃 just because it's going to be true 2x damage, right?
I feel like I would have loved to see the Caliban from Agglom, specifically for that turn 1 double in on 𝗶𝗃𝗃, because then with the Stone Ball, there's nobody who wants to come in. Tataru would have been Rishi's best bet, and that would have been well over 50% with that double.
Yeah, just to deny a free entry on that spot. That could have been nice too. I guess, you know, though, leaving the grandpa with the 𝗧𝗵𝗵 piloted by Mr. Rishi, that's almost like a doom sentence right there, right? Because grandpa is so impactful. Things like hypnosis, HKS, of course. But here we go, everybody. Game number 2. Rishi's finding himself one victory away from advancing all the way into today's finals. But we've seen Agglom pull that little upset in our quarterfinals. Can he reverse 2-0 one more time? We're going to call Agglom the underdog king if he gets this done. But of course, let's head into this turn number 1 here.
I mean, for Rishi, he definitely doesn't want to stay in on Pocus. We've seen how impactful it can be in this game, so he doesn't want to take a Synergy Sparkling Bullet before he can even attack. 𝗬𝗧𝗇 swapping in is a little bit risky, as if it is that double in, it will be a big Stone Ball. Sparkling Bullet targets 𝗬𝗬𝗽 first, though, clicking the same buttons as before, the Deja Vu that you mentioned. 𝗬𝗫𝗄 onto Rawrzyyy, making sure you don't trigger that reactive vial and the drill impact 𝗬𝗬𝗽. This is the same. We've seen this before. We know how this goes.
I think yeah, did we just rewind in time? It looks exactly the same, but hey, this is a little bit different. I don't believe we got the 𝗬𝗬𝗽 coming in on that secondary turn, so now it completely pressuring out the Minotaur. I do say that, however, Minotaur should be faster, right? +3 speed on that Minotaur, nice little 75%. Crystal Bite and 𝗬𝗬𝗽s are insanely fast, but I think Minotaur should edge it out with a 3 priority move such as Hasty Lunge. And there's nothing in the backline that loves that technique to eat, right? So I think it's a free one, but you don't want to eat the Crystal Bite, so exactly what he's doing right now. Goes ahead and swaps for the 𝗬𝗵𝗻.
Yeah, really, he just couldn't risk losing Minotaur this early. That was going to be such an important time for the Pocus. Really the only option. Although a turbo choreography on the 𝗬𝗬𝗽 is pretty terrifying. This Stone Ball, not enough to kill on its own, triggering the bait with that plus speed. 𝗬𝗵𝗻 should be terrified.
Yeah, absolutely. We even saw the 𝗬𝗬𝗽s outspeed the 𝗬𝗵𝗻 without any speed, so this hook kick making it even worse. And you know, I don't think even max HP 𝗬𝗵𝗻 can live a hook kick from 74%. You need a tremendous amount of defense investment to survive a hook kick. And I dare say, you know, 𝗬𝗵𝗻s can be bulky, but I don't think with the damage that 𝗬𝗵𝗻 was doing in the previous turn, I don't think he has a tremendous amount of defensive. So one hook kick should be enough. So hey, what does Agglom want to read here? Where is the hook kick going to be eaten up? Does he want to maybe eat it with Minotaur? Just swap it back out for one turn? Even if he does that, it's still a little tempo loss perhaps. So maybe Mr. Rishi's still looking okay.
𝗬𝗬𝗽's retreating instead, though, saving the hook kick for later as Tataru comes and takes its place on the board. Plague onto 𝗬𝗬𝗽, not going to be killing. The exhaust is nice if 𝗬𝗫𝗄𝗽 is clicked. It's not going to do very much if it's a resin trap instead, though, and it is. Resin onto Rawrzyyy from 75 down to 16. That reactive vial doesn't matter because now Major/Tataru is here, and that hits really hard.
Yeah, despite those physical nature, of course, Tartarus is here, so a final Gorin as a farewell gift to 𝗬𝗬𝗽 should be online, or should be available to him. But yeah, I believe so. I believe you nailed it perfectly. A major slash should be coming out from this Tataru, and it definitely should be enough for that final 31% on the rotor. And yeah, I'm wondering if actually, wait, forgive me. Rotor is basically +4 speed, right? But 𝗬𝗬𝗽's +2 speed. So yeah, this 3 prio plague should be able to get off before the Gorin. So as we're seeing it right now.
Yeah, so that's an unfortunate bit of damage for 𝗬𝗬𝗽. If there was any hope of surviving a hook kick before, it is shattered now. Throwing the DV out on Tataru, getting the damage while it's there for the taking, but that means 𝗬𝗬𝗽 can come in this turn, and it's pretty free, but 𝗬𝗬𝗽, no! He gets targeted instead. The Ruler's allowed to survive, allowed to pray one more turn with its held anger tardy rush.
Man,
no,
that was so... Impressive, because of course we thought of the straightforward play, might as well get the rotor out of there, but you know, the rotor is virtually overexerted. It's one attack away from overexerting itself. So yeah, might as well deal with the bigger Temtem on the board. And I say bigger, but of course it's a smaller Temp, but the more posing threat, right? And now 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶 comes in. Stone Ball is way too slow for a +2 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶, so a hook kick, even with that 1 turn left of nullification, I'm wondering if it should be enough though. Oh, but of course Minotaur is here, right? So he has to decide where he wants to throw it, or throw an attack rather.
I wonder if this is the read that brings Agglom back. Because 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶 doesn't want to lose 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶 right now. That's too big of a risk. 𝗬𝗶𝗵𝗶 is really the only safe option to bring in. But this could very well be like a kill on Tataru right now, because Minotaur stayed in turn 1 to attack the Lowali. It does have Black Hole available to it. This could be a double in Tataru, kill the Tataru, and then kind of force a weird spot the next turn. But instead, he does retreat for his own 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶, start to get those holds available to him. And 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶 stays in, sharp stabs it up, risks it all. And now if 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶 loses his Crystal Queen, this might be a little bit too much to ask. Killing Minotaur just got a lot harder.
Yeah, a lot harder is an understatement. He had such a clean answer with that 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶, but as you mentioned, gonna be so incredibly hard to deal with, especially when you only have a mental Temtem, a neutral Temtem, and you know 𝗬𝗵𝗶 has to do that heavy lifting. Fortunately for 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶, it does find itself at 100% HP and stamina, so not the worst. The 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶 did have to take some damage on the entry there, but you know, is the comeback king doing it one more time? Is he giving 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶 a run for his money? That Minotaur might be sealing the deal though, because it's single-handedly, as you mentioned, looking very impactful here.
Crystal Bite does come out this turn, not saving it for next turn, and held anger. That means Ruler just rested, didn't want to go for it, or did he overexert last turn?
Yeah, I think he overexerted for the rock fall, but ooh, the held anger almost coming through. But hey, oh, I was about to say it is half affected, but just enough. I believe it almost survived by a little hair, but just enough to take care of that 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶. But hey, this is the big bad bull we were mentioning coming into the board. Tardy Rush still online. It didn't get punished. It didn't go down now. So I dare say it could be the fastest Temtem on the board. Minotaur back down to neutral speed. So we do know things like Goring are online. We know it probably doesn't have held anger, right? I think we established that with the rockfall. So yeah, I think a nice little Goring on Tataru might just take it all the way down.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't overexert is I think the only thing that Agglom is considering. With this swap though, if it's only Goring, if it's not the double in on that spot, then this might be pretty terrifying. Goring number 1, just over 20%, and Sparkling Bullet onto 𝗬𝗵𝗵𝗶, allowing Chip to survive as the strangle on Minotaur.
And they're refreshing. Yeah, how much? I don't think it was full value this time. So hey, one time in the semifinals, we see Refreshing not get full value, but it was still about 20% or so healed back up on the Pokés. But more importantly, that was a huge strangle, was it not? Strangling the Minotaur, making sure the Pokés feels very safe here. Because now Rotor is not feeling too confident, and Wimplump isn't really too much of an effective swap, right? So a big Gamma Burst potential here. I think we saw Gamma Burst do something like 50+% on the Wimplump, so I think you just have to click it straight forward. And let's see if he's it. Oh, on the Minotaur, 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶 knows he has to take it down. That is so smart.
Yeah, absolutely. If that's your biggest hit, you've got to click it. The Stone Ball does do quite a lot of damage, though, back onto Chip. Minotaur, he's going to have to survive now, because this dreaded alarm is so unfortunate on damage. That means Tataru swaps back in, 𝗬𝗵𝗶 kills Minotaur, and 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶 wins.
Yeah, I think so too. So it should be going in the favor of 𝗬𝗧𝗵𝗶. I mean, +1 speed may be enough, but I don't think... Oh, maybe... No, I guess you could just swap in the 𝗬𝗺, eat something like that. Eat the electric technique, and then 𝗂𝗶𝗵 kills the Minotaur, right? Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, the swap, the 𝗶𝗴𝗄, even if it kills 𝗬𝗺, I don't think that's of any significance anymore because Minnow goes down.
You know, I'm wondering if Agglom had to potentially swap 𝗬𝗵𝗶 last turn just to get the tornado online, right? Because maybe there was a little window of opportunity. I know 𝗂𝗶𝗵 is super tanky, so perhaps even a tornado wasn't enough to take it down from 65%. But yeah, this is gonna be tough. A 2v1 situation, and one of those Temtems, even though it receives effective damage, it also dishes out effective damage in the terms of a Toxic Ink. So hey, we get our answer. Was it enough at 60% anyways? It was.
I'm a little bit surprised he targeted the 𝗂𝗶𝗵 first, because this Pocus is definitely more of a threat first turn, you know? Throwing out the tornado, killing the 𝗂𝗶𝗵. Now all he's got would be water cannon. He might run Sharp Rain, but I don't know.
We might have seen it, right? Or I think I'm thinking of Lulu's 𝗬𝗀𝗽, but hey, we get our answer here. Sharp Rain is ran. Does it get the kill? 57 down to 9.9. Overexert. So Mr. Rishi not overexerting. So 𝗬𝗵𝗶 bringing it to 23. Oh, wow. Is a final beta burst enough, Rawrzyyy? Coming down to the final attack. Oh, the rest. Oh, unbelievable, man.
So they're definitely not on game 1. We can say that with absolute confidence because it's turn 2.
So perhaps it's game 2, maybe game 3. If anyone has been keeping an eye on this game, let us know here in chat just so that we can have some more understanding of the situation. But either way, I'm sure we'll figure it out here. But yeah, as you mentioned, turn number 2, so nice and early. Let's see how they recruited their lineup here. So kind of like Mr. Rishi, he does have that Luma Grandpa, so really impactful Temtem. And you know, we don't see too many 𝗧𝗏𝗺𝗪s these days, so I'm happy Tsubaki is bringing it here into the tournament. It looks like it could actually do a handful of things, right? Into the 𝗬𝗵𝗶, into the 𝗬𝗏𝗺, looking okay. If it's able to eat those wind attacks, of course.
All right, what are we looking at right now in the 𝗬𝗏𝗺? So it's poisoned right now, which means there's no bait. It's mirroring because Toxic Bloom resistance would have only lasted 1 turn and it would be gone by now.
Yeah.
This 𝗬𝗏𝗺 doesn't have any of the traditional gear.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I guess we're going to find out. It might be Rawrzyyy because we just tuned in, right? Maybe it would have shown, but since we just tuned in, maybe it hasn't been shown yet. Maybe here with the Seed Bite onto the Grandpa, surviving by a hair, 8.6%, getting the turbo, so a potential Hyperkinetic Strike will be going online this next turn. But you know, that's the beauty of mirroring 𝗬𝗏𝗺s, right? In the past, when resistant was the dominant trait, HKS into the 𝗬𝗏𝗺 spot feels okay, but now it's just kind of like a suicide mission, right? Gonna be going down at your own hands. So I'm wondering, perhaps maybe a Hypno type play could be okay, but man, you can't Hypno both Temtems, or can you? 𝗧𝗏𝗺𝗪 has it too, eh?
I don't foresee 𝗧𝗏𝗺𝗪 even at +3 speed outspeeding a Sharp Stab's Hasty Lunge combo. That's big.
I know. Well, hey, Tsubaki could dream, but he should have a game plan for this turn, knowing that Grandpa will be falling down to either attack, so you can maybe try to take down one. But oh, he stays in. He's just gonna go for the Hail Mary play. 75 down to 21. So yeah, as we just mentioned, it should be big old mirroring damage, enough to kill it, right?
Oof. There was like hardly any mirroring damage because the speed calc of HKS doesn't count towards mirroring.
Oh, really? I've actually never knew that.
It was only the like, what is it? It's in the 50s, right? It's like not even a lot of damage for HKS. So that was surprisingly little. Does force the Sharp Stabs to kill. And a good hit on the 𝗧𝗏𝗺, a nice start for that damage. And we do see the bait now in 𝗬𝗏𝗺, so how is it poisoned before?
Yeah, you're so right. How did it get poisoned? I'm not seeing anything like toxic skin, perhaps. Or is 𝗧𝗏𝗺 toxic skin?
It could be.
Yeah, maybe that's like the only thing I could think of. Yeah, Mazon letting us know toxic skin 𝗧𝗏𝗺. That was most likely the thing. But man, guys, I am just blown away. HKS did about 40% damage on the 𝗬𝗏𝗺s. And the mirroring only reciprocated in the single digits, it felt like. So yeah, HKS is busted nonetheless. Thankfully for Schulzzy, doesn't have to worry about that big old bird any longer. So down to those final 4 Temtems for Tsubaki. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a turn 30 type game here. The only question I have is who won game 1, guys? What are you thinking, Rawrzyyy? Who do you think got the upper hand so far?
I mean, it looks like Schulzzy's team just has every counter it could possibly need, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe so. We have to ask around if anyone was keeping an eye. But you're right. It does look like he has all the tools in that toolbox, right? The wind Temtems for 𝗧𝗏𝗺, the electric Temtems, as we're seeing here for the 𝗧𝗺, doing a good old chip of damage. And does 𝗬𝗏𝗺 get to go off is the question. He might have to overexert to do so.
Oh, hypnosis onto fake munch means hook kick is allowed to go forward. 49 down to 15. Oh, that is not what you want to see on the strange vest Anavola before it can set itself up. All the way down at 15%. This is a rough go for Tsubaki.
Yeah, I think so as well. You know, as you said, you really want... I mean, Schulzzy's just doing a great job, right? He has enough aggression on his team that he's not enabling Tsubaki to get off those buffs. You know, I know it's still early in the game, but every time we tune into Tsubaki, you know, he has a +4/+4 defense, special defense on a lot of his Temtems, right? And if we're looking here, he just hasn't been able to get that same kind of setup whatsoever. So well done for Schulzzy, knowing that he kind of just has to go pedal to the metal, hardcore attack, and so far it's been working out in his favor. But of course the match is not over whatsoever. Rotor does come in now. Things like drill impact always online. I wonder, with that strange vest on there, is a drill impact enough for 15%? At +4 it might be close, huh?
I feel like it's enough. I mean, for the drill impact, it would be +6 most likely. But I mean, a sharp stabs at this point for Maker. If 𝗬𝗏𝗺 just wants to overexert for that hit, it probably would be worthwhile. But even at 15% +6, that's hardly any HP remaining. That's a lot to ask of a 𝗧𝗺. Swapping out even more so as now 𝗧𝗺 does not have those defensive buffs. And this is going to be a very big hit. The stare under 𝗧𝗺 is a nice start, though. Reduce that really big base defense into something that 𝗧𝗺 can potentially manage.
Yeah, and I think we saw earlier, 𝗧𝗺 did a whole lot of damage on the rotor before. So now with that 50% reduction on the rotor, should be doing a whole lot more, of course. So Major Slash is online. I'm wondering, though, is there a possibility at throwing it at the 𝗬𝗵𝗆, right? Because 𝗬𝗵𝗆 poses a good threat on the 𝗧𝗏𝗺. But I guess, so does Rotor, right? Just Rotor packs so much of a punch, too. And with 𝗧𝗏𝗺 already being low on stamina, I guess it's fair to do it on the Rotor as well. I'm thinking there, too, because obviously he stared it for a reason.
I could see the attack going towards 𝗬𝗵𝗆. Because if you push it down to the point where it's all on 𝗧𝗺's back, while it is a very strong back, that's a lot to ask of a single Tem that's already been stared once. And now Hypnosis onto the 𝗬𝗵𝗆. Lucky that it got that tornado damage off, but now 𝗧𝗺, soft touch, it just makes too much sense, right?
It has to. Let's see if Tsubaki's thinking where we're thinking here, but the goring almost enough to take it down. That is the value of nutrition bar, but no, keeping it straightforward. Defense -2 and still doesn't do 50%. Incredible. I was certain that it would do at minimum 50%. That just goes to show you how freaking bulky the big old rhino can be. Yeah,
it's insane. At -2, this Roller still just doesn't care about one of the strongest attacks in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the highest base damages, right? I believe it's like 150 or something with that major slash. So incredible that it didn't even do half of its HP, right? But okay, Rotor's still living, not going down to a single attack from Tattoo, even if he had it again. But since 𝗧𝗏𝗺 is snoozing, gonna get replaced by the bird. Does he dare go for a turbo, but not able to go? Tardy rush a bit too fast.
Yeah, this is spiraling out of control a little too quickly for Tsubaki. We never know. Maybe he did win the first game, and this is just tying up the series. We'll get to see a whole nother one. Draft is kind of wicked sometimes, and a very different draft for game 2 can have a very different outcome. So it's entirely possible Tsubaki did clean sweep Schulzzy the exact same way Schulzzy seems to be clean sweeping Tsubaki right now.
Yeah, you're so right. Of course, that's the beauty of best of threes. When it comes down to that final competition, the top cut here today is all about adapting to your opponent. Now you have more knowledge, right? You know what Temtem's moves they have. You know what gears they're all wearing. So yeah, with that insight, with that information, you're able to make much more accurate and predictable plays, right? So it does help out a lot. Well, here we go. 𝗬𝗏 does come in for the very first time in this game. Potentially game 2, most likely not game 3. But we don't know exactly. But here it goes. It doesn't seem like it can do too much. But what it can do is eat some damage, right? 𝗬𝗏 can't do too much. And as I say that, I'm realizing that 𝗬𝗏 can, right? Sharp Rain Water Cannon into the 𝗬𝗏 spot does do some good damage, so he has to see if he thinks it's gonna stay in or potentially gonna swap out for something like 𝗧𝗏𝗺.
I mean, even if Tsubaki swaps in an 𝗧𝗏𝗺, that doesn't accomplish very much, because then 𝗧𝗏𝗺 dies, 𝗬𝗏 comes back in, and there's nowhere for 𝗧𝗏𝗺 to run from a tornado.
Yeah, it's kind of just a tough position, a tough pickle Schulzzy is putting on Tsubaki, or putting Tsubaki in rather. So yeah, it looks pretty good. Schulzzy with a lot of healthy Temtems remaining, having that Tem advantage, already taking care of the big damage dealers like the Grandpa, like the Tattoo. So now it's just making sure you don't throw. Tornado should be enough. There is no special defense on that bird, so down the remaining HP goes. And let's see what this 𝗬𝗏 wanted to do today.
Oh, Helldanger outspeeds 𝗬𝗏 because of course Tardy Rush is here. That's a lot of damage on a very physically bulky bird. 𝗬𝗏 always used to be the big one, the big defensive wall back in 𝗬𝗏 that nobody could surmount that easily. But that's, wow, 𝗧𝗏𝗺 doing more than half to that whip lump is crazy damage. Now, considering Tornado's not available for whip lump, it does die if it stays in for another turn. That could put a little bit more pressure on the Wally to kill the 𝗧𝗏.
Oh, and 𝗬𝗏 stays in, perhaps thinking that something like a Gust could be the enough, but instead, I don't think it's a Gust because it might have gone already, but oh, it is a Gust. Forgive me, I misspoke. The Gust does go through. So, oh, Tsubaki, the final Temtem to his name. It is a good one. Rotor seemingly had overexerted the previous turn. Gets that confirmed kill on the 𝗬𝗏. Let's see what Schulzzy has remaining in the back line. I think it's a 𝗬𝗏𝗺. Yeah, and a 𝗬𝗚𝗚. So, a Plague Resin Trap potential. That should be good enough if you ask me.
And that's really what it's going to come down to, too, because now at +3 speed, 𝗬𝗏 is going to outspeed the hook kick of 𝗬𝗚𝗚. All it can ask for is a sharp stabs. This puts a lot of pressure on 𝗬𝗏𝗺's very soft head, according to the name, and it does perform as the Plague just destroys this 𝗬𝗏, and a Feather Gatling onto Ruler rather than an 𝗧𝗏𝗺 means another Plague will be enough to kill.
Yeah, and just like we saw in the previous turn, the 3 priority Plague outsped that +3 speed 𝗬𝗏. So of course, there's nothing that changed, right? So the Plague one more time will outspeed the 𝗬𝗏, guaranteeing Schulzzy going up 1 game. We're not too sure, but oh, that is a fast 𝗬𝗚𝗚 for sure. It probably outsped the Plague as well.
Yeah, finishing off in style with the Luma. GG's to Schulzzy.